Mate, what are you doing?
You've had your go, pup. Afternoon, all.
Commercials and cricketers, it's not a good mix.
More oomph, Clarky, more oomph.
Thanks for nothing, Hados.
Oh, the one that I laughed the most at's probably Michael Clarke and Matty Hayden trying to take off and impersonate Richie Benno.
The boys have been getting a lot of humour out of that, and I think Michael's very, very embarrassed by it as well.
And welcome back, everyone, for more of Ford's cracking catches.
I don't know what my favourite is, but my least favourite is the one from me for Ford doing the Richie Benno. I get that embarrassed every time it comes on.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean. Oh, probably Valvoline, you know what I mean.
Valvoline. You know what I mean.
You know what I mean.
I think you got it.
I don't mind Simo's, the Ford one of Andrew Simons, when he gets the car washed and his body cleaned. I don't mind that.
It's the first time I've ever seen him have a shower.
That candle that he has on his face, like, you know, what's your problem, mate? You know, don't you go through a car wash as well?
Pretty funny, I think, Andrew Simons coming out of a car wash with no shirt on, brushing his teeth. Works, Simo. Very funny, mate.
What? Roy's here, isn't he? And Brendan Julian's with him, just down there.
Thank you, Mark. Simo, good body you got there, mate. You got over the shoulder injury and a few beach weights, mate?
Yeah, I mean, you always tack a few of them in on the end of the session, don't you? You've been there, mate.
Now, mate, what about the teammates? Have they been giving you a bit of stick about that, Ed?
Yeah, I've copped a fair bit over the last couple of weeks, as you can probably imagine. I mean, I probably hasn't been as big a laughing stock as Binger's effort to write a song last year and sing that. I found that quite humorous. If we've got some footage of that, I wouldn't mind whacking that up there again tonight.
I think that's coming a bit later on, but I've got Hoggy right next to me. That's pretty harsh what he said, wasn't it, about the shower? First time you've had a shower?
Yeah, it is. I mean, sometimes I don't look very clean, but I do have a wash.
Now, I've got to bring it up, mate. I've got to bring it up. IPL, 1.5. Gee, that's good. You won't have to do any more commercials now, will you?
Wow.
And they're saying you're a bit of a... What was it? It's very, very careful with your money, they reckon.
Yeah, apparently so. I mean, yeah, permission to speak freely? No. So I'll just agree with you on that one.
Well said, mate. One last question. Now, you've been agitating and provoking throughout the whole summer. Done that with any fishing, mate?
No, I haven't had a lot of time to provoke and agitate the fish at all. This has been our busiest summer ever. So it's been cricket ball sandwiches most of the year. And apart from that, you know, we've been enjoying each other's company.
Well done, mate, and well played. Back to you, Mark. A very clean Andrew Simons.
Thanks, Roy, and thanks, BJ. More from Brendan Julian later in the show. We've just seen what a funny game cricket can be, and it certainly is when we look at it through the eyes of our next two guests. To give us their unique spin on the year that was, please welcome rampaging Roy Slaven and H.G. Nelson.
Yes, thanks very much indeed, Mark, for that fabulous and extensive introduction. And it's a real thrill for Roy and myself here to be here tonight at the Allan Border Medal. Roy, why do you rate this event so highly? I know you've been always a big rap for it. Why do you go out on a limb to make yourself available time after time for the Allan Border Medal?
I think it's without doubt, HG, the most important medal in the world. It's the most important sporting award in the world.
Yes.
We saw, say, Academy Awards last night. Well, I watched the Academy Awards with Russell Crowe, and I said to Russell at the time, if you had to swap your Academy Award, what would you swap it for? He said an Allan Border Medal. And that's absolutely right. When you look at it, and it annoys me that the history of Allan Border isn't told every year.
I know.
Busted arse side.
Yes.
They had no future. They had no plan.
No players.
No players.
Just AB.
Just AB. Got all the runs, got all the wickets, took all the catches.
Drove the bus.
Drove the bus.
Drank the beers.
Bought all the beers.
I bought all the beers.
I mean, Allan was always the first to reach into his pocket.
He was.
Always.
Now...
And of course he was an authoritarian. Of course he was a disciplinarian. Because they were a rabble.
Now, speaking of discipline, that's one of his finest features, Alan's finest features, and we are lucky enough, Roy, you had a look through the footage this morning. You've picked a highlight from your extensive files at home. It's an absolute beauty. Set the scene for us, though. It's England. It's a morning. Take it from there.
Okay, it's a morning. Australia is struggling a little. It's just a tour match. It's a lead-up match to a test match. But it's important that Australia stamp their authority. It's all going wrong. Bowlers aren't putting them on the pitch. They're doing a Chris Matthews. They're doing a Harmy. Balls are going everywhere. A lot of no balls. AB steps in.
Hey, I do. Come here. Come here.
To shocked laughter from the crowd, the paceman answers back. He's threatened with a ticket home.
That again, mate. Next plane home.
And then one final warning.
Test me, mate. See.
The captain's language coloured it.
And that's why we celebrate tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the Allan Border Medal. As you already realise, I think we're up to the 9th AB medal, and they've all been great. I've got them all on tape. I get them out every year and have a look at them before watching this event. Now, we believe there should be a retrospective Allan Border medal presented every year so as AB's legacy can go in reverse as well as forward. It's a simple idea. We go back to great players of the past and we award them tonight at this ceremony a memento, a medal of their great contribution to the great Australian game of cricket. Roy, who do we celebrate tonight?
Actually, we're going back to 1970 to the magic of Johnny Gleeson, our mystery spinner. Our first mystery spinner, and here is a presentation that will be made to Johnny a little bit later. People probably don't remember Johnny all that much. There's the hand there. He used to impart spin using one finger and a thumb. He held the ball like that, which gave him enormous flexibility because he could either rotate it that way or rotate it that way. The most amazing thing was, though, whichever way he rotated it, nothing happened. And that's what made him an absolute mystery spinner. Because it was a mystery to the batsman that nothing bloody happened. I think he got about 30 wickets in 1970, HG.
Remarkable.
Confused batsman, expecting spin, none arrived.
And so tonight's 1970 Allan Border medal goes to the mystery spinner, Johnny Gleeson. Having said that, like many of you here tonight in the room, you've loved the cricket, you've loved the 6 balls coming down, but what you waited for is the end of over, because the blossoming of Australian cricket talent to the ranks of advertising has just been remarkable in this summer. It's been a revolution that has me licking my lips. Sure, I love ball 5, that's great, but when ball 6 there, I just want to be surprised by the great work that Australian cricketers are now doing with products. Having said that, it was Allan Border who pioneered this many, many years ago. Roy?
Actually, you know I love a cup of tea. Remember the first time I made for you a cup of tea using AB all-rounders? Do you remember?
I do.
The thing about the all-rounder is it's round, like a ball. And AB was an all-rounder as well, so you can see the connection. And it was a marvellous cup of tea. And the ad itself still stands up today, even though you can't buy the product anymore.
Let's have a look at AB flogging all-rounders.
I've known some pretty good all-rounders, and I've had a few tea breaks. So I can tell you, the new Tetley all-rounder has a lot going for it.
Thank you.
Naturally, the tea quality is excellent. But each Tetley all-rounder also has 2,000 perforations to let the real tea flavour flood out.
They've got a lot to live up to, haven't they?
I mean, that's close. They have.
They don't make them like that anymore.
No, they
the
don't.
story, the plot, the execution, absolutely first class.
You're absolutely right. But Tetley should have had 10,000 bloody holes in each bag.
Yeah, not 2.
To echo the runs that AB scored.
Beautifully done. Now, of course, it's a night of revolution, adding things to the AB medal. I'm just wondering if it's now time to propose the Allan Border Medal for advertising excellence. It's a simple idea, ladies and gentlemen. The public vote on the ads they've seen at the end of overs throughout the summer. The votes are tallied. And Roy, tonight, you are going to reveal the 2008 Allan Border Medal of Excellence recipient.
Yes, yes. One vote went to the boys for the KFC ad, which I thought was very nice, revoiced, and they didn't have to do much work. 2 votes for the Valvoline ad, which you've seen a little bit earlier on. That was punter's work. But 3 votes, a clear winner for the first AB award for advertising excellence, goes to Matthew Hayden, Haydos, for his boat safety commercial.
Here it is.
Out on the cricket pitch, good skippers take the lead. I'm Matthew Hayden and I've played with some of the best. But on my boat, I'm the skipper and it's my responsibility to make sure everyone stays safe. That's why I always wear my life jacket and make sure everyone else on board does the same.
Beautiful work, beautiful work, beautiful work. Beautiful.
And I know he won't mind me saying this, but that was his Richie Benaud impression as well there. And Roy, you challenge anybody looking at that ad to wear a vest, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I keep an eye out for people on boats to see if they're dressed like that, if they've taken the message seriously. Sadly, Haydos, they haven't. I hardly see anyone tanked up in that stupid rubbish that you're wearing.
Now, some of the unsighted players in the advertising realm so far are the forgotten heroes, I think, of the Australian Test team. And Roy, you're working on a campaign that's going to involve Phil Jakes and Brad Hogg.
Yeah, we haven't seen Brad, have we? We haven't seen George. We haven't seen Phil Jakes.
No.
I thought real estate would be good. You know, you're walking down, looking at houses. Phil Jakes says to George, "Nice areas, George."
Yes.
That'd work. That'd work.
Yes.
You've just got to get some smart advertising executive handling that. Then you get kids rushing into the real estate game. You would.
And how about the Stewie McGill ads, the leaving the bottle of, grog behind on the bar?
Well, I don't believe that because I've seen Stewie McGill with a bottle of wine. He never leaves it behind.
And finally, of course, 2020, it's been another innovation. I think there's going to have to be a separate medal, an Allan Border medal for the world of 2020 when the time comes. I believe, though, that we're only seeing the beginnings of what 2020 will do to the game of cricket. In Perth recently, there were a couple of striking innovations that I think will take the world by storm. The ball arriving by a bloke, a rather large person with a flaming, well, I was going to say foot. And then we had the dunking stool. I think when they got a boundary, this poor clown ended up in the drink. And that's great. Kids love that. And, of course, when it got dull, a bloke tried to ride a unicycle. But sadly, I thought these were overshadowed by the actual cricket. Roy, where does it go to from here?
Yeah. Well, I've been talking to Dilip Ben-Sarkar each year how the IPL might look. We've got a couple of images now. I think this is the future of cricket. Here are the players warming up. The way the ball's delivered is interesting.
Yes, that's the Punt Road end of Calcutta Gardens or Eden Gardens. And Roy here?
Yeah. Well, just use your imagination.
That's right. Spin.
Spin. Forget it.
That's right. And so there it is, a quick look at the year back, and congratulations to everybody who made the Allan Border medal great. And could Haydos get the double, do you think, Roy? The award
it's never been done before.
No, the award
Getting
for
the
excellence?
advertising excellence, and the big one.
Yes.
By golly, it'd be a big double, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. Enjoy the rest of the night. When you get back to your car, I hope it's where you left it. Mark.
Roy and HG, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful. You've been training all the winter and there's not a team that's fitter, and that's the way it's got to be. You're up against the best, This is Super Test, You've got to beat the best the world has seen. Can you believe it's 30 years since Kerry Packer's World Series cricket took the game by storm? When we come back after the break, we'll look back at some memories of World Series cricket and also talk with very much the man of the moment, Adam Gilchrist. Don't go away.
Friday night, the Bombers and the Saints take aim as the NAB Cup semi-finals kick off. Essendon St Kilda, 7:30 Friday night, live in the Northern States on Fox Sports Plus, Channel 518. Saturday, snap back to reality and cop a bit of charity.
Oh, my goodness! They are into it, and Telstra.
Souths and the Saints face off live for the 25th Charity Shield. It's no quarter given, no quarter asked. Full straight footy from the Bunnies and Dragons.
Here's a chance. They must score. They will. It's sensational.
NRL returns to Fox Sports for the 25th Charity Shield. Live 7:30 Saturday on Fox Sports 3.
Train hard, play harder.
Fox 8 scouting the country for our next big A-League legend. Could it be you? Check out fox8.tv for entry details. Football superstar kicking off soon on Fox 8.
Fox Sports March. Live from the 22nd, look no further than Fox Sports for all your AFL footy. Every match, every round. You've got to love the return of your rugby league. Every game, every week, as the whistle blows on the NRL centenary season. The Socceroos' second World Cup qualifier live from China. Plus, the A-League's cream take on the best of the rest in the Asian Champions League. Live coverage of the Pura Cup decider and England's tour of New Zealand. The Super 14 scorches the screen to relight and reignite rugby. Be in the year's biggest games. It's finals time in the NBL. Casey's quest for back-to-back titles gets the green light at night in Qatar. The race to be Beijing-bound heats up the Olympic swimming trials. Live sport. Fox Sports, the name of the game.
My expectations of World Series cricket was always that it would succeed, even though we did have a slow start, but I just felt there were so many good players in it, it had no choice but to do well.
Everyone wanted a slice of World Series cricket. It was so different. You had the coloured gear, you had the white ball, the black side screen, microphones at the base of the stump. Bill O'Reilly called it the pyjama game.
For the West Indies to be wearing pink, which was one of their gay colours or such, they weren't too impressed. And I think we might have been better off letting them wear whatever they wanted because they kept bowling those balls pretty quick.
Let me tell you, the bell-bottom pants come up really big. The shirts undone with the body shirts right down with the hair. We had hair everywhere, out of our nostrils, our ears, our eyebrows, our long hair, and the big chains flying around. Oh, we looked really cool.
We realised in 1977 that the time had come to wear crash helmets.
That fired up our bowlers like Gunnistili and the works. They were trying to put dents in those crash helmets to send them down to the bike shop for repair.
I remember one day batting against Joel Garner at the SCG. A huge moth's gone straight up the visor of a crash helmet just before he let the ball go, and it's flapping away like this. I mean, what do you do? So hang on, Joel. Do you go up after it with the sausages on the gloves? They wouldn't fit. All I could do was get my mouth open. The wings and the legs got stuck there. Jerk and just give me heartburn on the way down, then the gold kookaburra. Ooh! Hit me in the rib cage at just under 150 kilometres an hour. But that was welcome to World Series cricket. Big boys play at night.
And I bowled that very first ball under lights to Barry Richards to start the whole concept of day-night cricket. And I sit here before you, not only the person who bowled the first ball under lights, but I also scored the first run under lights, because unfortunately it was a no ball wide.
That famous over where Wayne Daniel hit me for six, and it was actually the second last ball. All I remember is Ian Chappell telling me not to bowl it down leg side, which I did, and he was out there waiting for me, and 20 rows back into the seats.
World Series cricket had a huge impact, and every single cricketer that plays the game these days should be grateful to what we did all those years ago.
They are golden memories, aren't they? And I reckon I've spotted Maxie Walker in the room somewhere. I could be wrong, but I think Maxie's here. Good day, Max. Yes, he is. There's Maxie Walker, but he bowled the last ball there. It's also, of course, when the Channel 9 commentary team began to become immortal. They were put together for Kerry Packer's World Series cricket, led, of course, by Captain Richie. There are so many tales about Richie, but I think the whole thing was summed up in Hobart at the start of this summer. Richie and I were late the first morning in Hobart. It starts half an hour early, 10:30 I think in Hobart, and we had missed that. 9 o'clock we're running around the lobby of the hotel, and there's nobody in sight, and we look at our, and we think, crap, we ring for a taxi, and we jump in the back of this cab driven by an old bloke, and he's captivated, and he just watches Richie climb into the back seat of the cab. And he's speechless as he turns out of the Woolstore Hotel and he turns left and up to the lights, and he can't contain himself, and he gets on the two-way back to base where all the blokes are waiting with their cups of tea, having a smoker. And he says, pick up Woolstore Hotel, dropping Bellerive Oval. What's more, fellas? I've got the man. Mr. Ritchie's in the cab. And there was about a 10-second delay before it crackled back into life again. Everybody back at HQ had worked it out. And he picked it up and it said, marvellous pickup, that. And Richie's immortality is well known. We're going to have him with us in a minute, but someone else during the last decade has certainly made themselves immortal and gone deep into our hearts for the way that he's played the game and the way that he's conducted his whole career. Adam Gilchrist. Well, it's a long journey, this victory march, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's getting harder and harder tonight. I didn't think everyone that spoke tonight had to say something about me. I start weeping soon, but yeah, it's been overwhelming, the whole response.
Any part of you rethinking?
Not at all. Look, I've never been surer, and every day I wake up I'm more excited about what lays ahead in my career ahead. I guess I've looked at a career as being a life, and I've had the cricket segment of my career, and I really look forward with great excitement, and I know Mel and my family do as well, about what lies ahead. But you know, not being disrespectful to what's happened in the past sort of 10 to 12 years, it's been just amazing.
All right. The World Cup final was a spectacular innings for you. We've already referred to 3 World Cup wins in a row. Let's talk a bit about the squash ball. We've got some footage from the match in Barbados, but it's an extraordinary thing. The Sri Lankans made a fuss about it, God knows why. What's the squash ball about?
It was just a thing that I'd use, a training device, just to basically help me grip the bat in a manner that allowed me to play with what I felt was a more correct, straight thinking, playing straight down the ground. And pretty much if I don't have it in there, I probably tend to slog across the line a little bit, which those pictures you see there probably you know, lie a little bit about that thinking. I certainly boiked a few across the line that day, but I guess it's become comfortable now, and it's something that
do you use it all the time?
I do now, yeah. Since I use it through that whole World Cup, and many people thought that it was only in that World Cup final that I used it, but I used it the whole World Cup. I lost faith in it going into the semi-final because I hadn't had that great a tournament, and I went out there without it, and then in the semi-final I got bowled second ball for a duck. And as I walked off, I thought, well, if we get to the final, I'm going to bring the squash ball back, and it worked.
For anybody that doesn't know, he puts a squash ball in here to control his bottom hand. It's quite an unusual thing. Tell me, 2020 and the huge impact it's having on the world. You've played the game in a unique way. You've had 100 sixes in your test match career. Is there a danger that 2020 and its impact cricket, its constant power hitting, will almost diminish what people like you have achieved?
No, I look at 2020 as a totally, almost at the moment, and I think we need to take time with this. It's come at a rush, and we need to take a big breath, and hopefully we come through and see where it heads to. But at the moment, it's almost more entertainment. It's a product, which is great for the game, and used wisely, it'll enhance the game, the longer versions of the game. So that's the way I see it. I don't think anything's going to be lost of the history of what, you know, the 120 odd years of Test cricket, the players that were a part of that achieved. That'll always be there, and I think cricket, those versions will survive. But it's an entertainment product. It's the world we live in, and I think I was a reluctant starter with it initially. I was a bit like that. No, I'm sort of old school, but I've realised how valuable it is and how we can use it.
You've got this remarkable record with the gloves on. People talk so much about your batting, 379 catches and 37 stumpings in Test cricket, 416 catches and 35 stumpings in the one-day game. But when you're in the field, you're not quite the same man. Remember the other night? Have a look at this.
Oh, inside edge, and that's running away down towards fine leg. Gilchrist after it. Now, what sort of... Oh, has he got it?
What's the moral of this one, Gilly?
It's funny. I didn't know we were throwing that one in there. Yeah, it's great.
It's to stick to your day job bit of film, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I've always wondered what it was that... I always thought I went to a SCG once and I waved to Rod Marsh when he was keeping. And he waved back, and I thought that was my calling, that I had to play for Australia as a keeper. But I wasn't sure on that. I wasn't certain. That was only in my mind. So I've always wondered why I was a wicket keeper, and that was confirmed the other night.
All right, well, it's one of your more outstanding achievements to have been picked by Richie Benaud in his all-time favourite team. It's a side that includes Bradman and Sobers and many others of the finest names that have played the game. And we've got a little surprise for you this evening, something that Gilly knows absolutely nothing about. So to bring it to us, ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Richie Benaud. You picked Gilly in that team of yours. What was the criteria for the team?
Well, it was the team I wanted to represent me out on the field. And it was a very difficult side to choose. And in the end, I came up with 11, and I had Gilly in at number 7, and I had Sobers just above it. And it's not an easy thing to pick a team, because people think you're choosing what you believe to be the greatest ever team, and that wasn't so. This was the side I wanted to represent me on the field, and it had some great cricketers in it, and it had Adam Gilchrist, because I saw him in his debut up in Brisbane, and then I saw him in the match you've already seen and talked about and listened to down at Bellerive Oval in Hobart when Australia beat Pakistan with that remarkable partnership between Adam Gilchrist and Justin Langer. And eventually I came down to the point of choosing players, first of all, that I wanted to represent me, and secondly, who'd had a beneficial effect on the game of cricket. And there's one here tonight, Shane Warne, who changed the face of cricket in one way by bringing back leg spin, and that was in 1991 and onwards. And Adam Gilchrist has redefined the situation as regards wicket-keeping and wicket-keeping batsmen, so that at number 7 he is, as I said earlier in the show, one of the greatest cricketers I've ever seen. Now, he's done one other thing. He's made the commentary team very, very happy, because it is possible to get a dull day's cricket, but very rarely with cricketers like Adam Gilchrist. And the Channel 9 commentary team recognises the things that he's done and the fact that it's been made easier for us in the commentary box. And Channel 9 asked me to come along tonight and make a presentation to him, and I do that with the greatest of pleasure. This is a Versace decanter. It's very elegant, and it has the 9 logo on it. And at different stages, we all have something in our living rooms and in our bars and our locker rooms, and I hope you've got a bit of Shiraz of high quality. I suspect you will have. And that it will go into this decanter. And the only other thing I would like to say is thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Gilly? Thank you very, very much, Richie. That's I'm humbled by your words. Believe me, I do have a drop of that variety. I pronounce it a little bit differently, but certainly all taste the same. So, thank you. Just very quickly, it seems like it's going on forever, the acknowledgements, and thank you to everyone. I've thanked my family and my friends so often, and I'll continue to do that, to Cricket Australia at the highest level, right down to my club cricketers, my school friends, my school cricket team. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this great game that it is. To my teammates in particular, and Ricky Ponting, who I've been able to play under and play alongside, mate, I reckon you're second to none, and the way you lead the team, and particularly in recent times, it's just been stoic. You are a true champion, and thank you for all your support and belief. One other friend, one of my best friends, and a guy in this modern age, it's a bit odd to say this, but my best friend and my manager who has been with me since day one, about 14 years ago, Stephen Atkinson. Thank you, mate. You've helped me survive and get through and learn, and it's been a great journey. And to everyone else, I guess in these difficult times, or interesting times, controversial, the reason I started was it's a game. We love it, we have fun, we got teammates, and we can share in that, and let's hope that that's the thing that gets us through these difficult times, and I'm sure it will, and cricket will come out stronger. So thank you very much. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, two of Australia's greatest, two of the world's greatest, Richie Benaud and Adam Gilchrist. Well, Adam Gilchrist, of course, was voted Australia's greatest ever one-day player, and it is to the one-day game that we now turn. Remember, it didn't start quite as it might. The Australians had planned to beat England back in February. They didn't manage it in the Commonwealth Bank Series. Defeats in 2 matches was enough to hand the tourists a tournament. It marked the first time in 5 years that the Aussies had not won at home. They then headed for New Zealand for the Chappell Hadley Trophy without Ricky Ponting. Stand-in captain Mike Hussey played his part with a century early in the series, and Matthew Hayden smashed his way to an unbeaten 181 in the third game, but it wasn't enough to stop the Kiwis completing a 3-0 whitewash and continuing the Australians' lacklustre start to 2007. Right, we'll look at the leaderboard. Very un-Australian, that little run of form, but Matty Hayden going great, 7 votes. Mike Hussey 6, Brad Hodge 4, Nathan Bracken 4, and Glenn McGrath, remember him, 3 votes for the Pidgin. All right, now let's turn our attention to something very different. The destination, the Caribbean. The mission, the World Cup.
The World Cup campaign started as expected, with Australia cruising through their group matches. First up was Scotland, where skipper Ricky Ponting reached triple figures and veteran Glenn McGrath was at his absolute best.
Yo, Glenn McGrath, you little ripper.
Game 2 saw Hodge and Clark set the scene for a 229-run thumping of the Netherlands.
Oh, and Hodge again, that's a superb shot.
While spinner Brad Hogg proved far too good with the ball.
Well done. Next up, the Australians were at their brilliant best against South Africa. While scores in the 90s from Ponting and Clark softened up the opposition, it was the fastest century in World Cup history from Matthew Hayden that delivered the knockout blow.
This is one of the most wonderful hundreds you'll see. Matthew Hayden has played a blinder.
It was very satisfying, firstly getting back in the team, but then secondly to have a dominant performance in a World Cup was just a highlight of my cricketing career thus far, I reckon.
The Hayden show continued in the Super 8 stage of the competition, where he again reached triple figures. The World Cup hosts were relegated to the role of spectators as the Queenslanders set about destroying their attack.
That's the best of them. That's Roseback.
Glenn McGrath was the star with the ball, collecting another 3 wickets.
The Australians weren't required to get out of second gear in a rain-affected match against Bangladesh. McGrath was again the main destroyer against a bewildered opposition, while Gilchrist and Hayden easily chased down the runs required.
And it's gone sailing into the crowd again, and the game is over.
The old enemy was next on the fixture, and it was Australia's pace attack that did the damage. Bracken, Tate and McGrath chipped in with 3 wickets each before skipper Ponting did what he does best.
Fantastic stroke. A statement from the Australian captain.
McGrath and Tate were amongst the wicket takers again, as Ireland could manage only a dismal total of 91.
This is a rout here.
Hussey was elevated to opener, and some lusty hitting from Gilchrist and Simons saw the Australians home in just the 12th over.
And Simons goes long and straight.
It was Nathan Bracken's turn to shine with the ball, as his 4 wickets helped restrict Sri Lanka to a total of 226. Unbeaten half-centuries from Ponting and Simon saw Australia's World Cup winning streak continue.
Ricky Ponting
finishes the game with a massive six. Matthew Hayden made it century number 3 for the tournament against New Zealand when he smashed 103 off the Kiwi attack.
100 to savour from a wonderful player. Matthew Hayden can take a bow.
Good support from Ponting and Watson saw the Aussies reach a massive total of 348. That was always going to be too many for New Zealand to chase. Brad Hogg proved far too good with another 4 wickets.
Rushing defeat for the Kiwis.
An undefeated Australia moved into the semi-finals and were never seriously challenged by South Africa. McGrath and Tate were in no mood for games as they set about destroying the Proteas lineup and restricting them to a total of just 149.
There's another nick, it is out. Fourth ball. McGrath is on a hat-trick.
Yeah, Glenn, he's a bit of a legend, so the way for him to go out is just perfect. I think he was man of the series of the World Cup, World Cup winning player. And good on him, he deserves it. He's a champion of the game, and I think his legend will grow over time as well.
A patient 60 not out from Michael Clarke saw the Aussies into their 6th World Cup final.
Sri Lanka was to be the opponent, while the local weather was to be the villain. Rain delayed the start of play and reduced the match to 38 overs per side. Adam Gilchrist saved his best till last when he belted 149 from just 104 balls. The opener's brilliance helping Australia to a total of 281.
Yes! A World Cup 100 to savour.
Adam Gilchrist, what can I say? He just blew Sri Lanka completely off the face of the earth with that innings, and from pretty much that moment on, the World Cup was ours.
Sri Lanka was never in the hunt as the Australian bowlers all made contributions, but the match ended in farcical circumstances in near complete darkness.
We're playing out of farce here at the Kensington Oval.
Looking back, I don't think it ruined anything. It's, you know, once every 4 years you get to celebrate a World Cup. We got to celebrate it twice in about 20 minutes, and we made the most of those celebrations, it's fair to say.
Australia have won the World Cup of 2007.
The final result was a 53-run win to the Australians as they were crowned World Cup champions for the 4th time.
The end of the game probably overshadowed just how good a tournament it was from Australia. That's the 2nd World Cup in a row that we've gone through without losing a game, and you know, we've just crunched teams in the finals. You know, to share those sort of moments with those sort of guys is pretty special.